Welcome back to Your Real Estate Voice with Barb Schlinker, the weekly radio show that informs and educates you on how to buy or sell real estate with Barb Schlinker, the owner broker of Your Home Sold Guaranteed Realty, and the host of the program. Now, Barb, sometimes people have to sell an inherited home. So, what are some of the things that they should be prepared for if they inherit a home?
Well, Richard, first of all, I would say the first thing you have to do is just be very clear on what the estate, was left to you. Like, who is the executor? Is there a will? Are there heirs? There's a lot of coordination and communication that has to take place between the family members to make sure everybody's satisfied with what happens on the finish line. So typically, most people designate in their will what they call an executor, which is a legal term for somebody that has a responsibility to execute the will of that person that was left the property behind. And if it's not in a trust, which a trust makes it selling a piece of real estate a lot simpler, then typically that person has to have get with an attorney, an estate sale or an estate attorney, and actually get designated as the executor. And those are legal documents before they can execute a contract with an agent to sell the home or dispose of the property. They really have to have it legally lined out. And most of the time, the ownership documents are pretty straightforward. Typically, there's no problem with getting that done. Most ownership documents are recorded. And then, you just have to make sure that you get with an attorney and get those issues resolved and keep that paperwork. Don't lose it. Now, there are some people that actually will set up their estate before they die, either in a trust or maybe they did something called a beneficiary deed. Now, what that means is if that owner passed away, the ownership would automatically pass to their heir, which is a good thing to do, because it's just a way of dealing with the real estate specifically in that scenario without having to go to probate. Now, title companies typically will want some time between the actual time that you have. Let me explain that. So if your buyer is getting an FHA loan, there's going to be like 120-day delay before you could sell to that buyer. I don't know why, but it's just a weird rule that kind of comes out. So don't be in a hurry. I think most people are kind of overwhelmed with just dealing with just all the stuff left in the house and who gets what and what do we get rid of and who wants this furniture. That all by itself takes a bit of time. So that's number one. And then you have to consider, if you're going to sell the home, what is your strategy? Are you going to go as is with no repairs? Are you going to fix it up? I've seen some people take on homes like that and fix it up. They might be able to get really good deals, so much so that they're able to make a profit when they turn it around. I've had others, like I helped a lady that was in her 90s sell her home, beautiful lot, ranch style home with nice views, in the 80918 zip code, but she hadn't updated anything. It still had Bronco orange carpet in the basement. She wasn't going to do that, right? So there's a price for that. You can't expect a premium price if the house has not been updated, but it had a great lot and we're able to get it sold very, very quickly. So there's a lot of parts to it, but I think the biggest overwhelm for most people that inherit a home is dealing with not just the house, but all the stuff in the house and who gets what and all that. It can be confusing. So if that person had a will in place, it's better. If they have a trust in place, it's even better. So I would consider that if you don't want to leave a mess behind for your heirs. And to get a good trust, I think you're probably going to spend $4,000 to $5,000 right now. it might be cheaper just to set up the beneficiary deed. I met one client that set her estate up that way, that if she passes away, then her family member gets the ownership of the real property, and it just saves some time and makes it nice and clean and simple. But pricing, no matter what condition the home is absolutely critical. So you will see homes on the market, and they'll put a comment in there saying it's an estate sale. So from a buyer or an investor standpoint, typically they think that's a good deal. They're like, hey, this is awesome. It's a discounted price, and most of the time they are, if it is an inherited home, because the heirs don't want to have it sit on the market for 120 days and wait for a buyer and get top dollar. They just want to get it done and move on with their lives. So it's always good to price those homes very realistically, especially if you don't plan to do any remodeling. My name is Barb Schlinker. I'm the broker owner of Your Home Sold Guaranteed Realty and the host of this show. And we're talking about basically what to do when you inherit a home. What are some of the easy ways that you can handle this type of sale? And next up, we're going to talk about some tips on things that you can do to get the house ready for sale. Richard?
We're listening to Your Real Estate Voice with Barb Schlinker of Your Home Sold Guaranteed Realty. And if you are thinking of making a move, call Barb 719-301-3900 or visit barbhasthebuyers.com. So, Barb, what are some other things that people should consider when they're selling a home that they inherited?
Well, it starts with getting the home cleared out. And typically you want to gather the family members. I know when my dad passed away, my mom said, hey, all you kids, come and get what you want. So it's kind of funny how every sibling had different things they wanted from the estate. And that's one easy way to handle it. But then she was left with a household of stuff. So what she did was an estate sale while she was alive. She basically just picked out stuff that she wanted to keep, moved that out, sold the contents of the house to an estate company. They had a big sale and they got rid of most of it. So that's one option, is to do an estate sale. And the stuff that they can't get rid of, typically the estate company will typically just donate the rest or do whatever they consider appropriate for the items. Also, a pre-inspection is a really good idea. Anytime you're selling, in my view, it's a good idea to get that done. I helped a lady a number of years. It was right when COVID broke out. I'll never forget. And she had this nice home in a good location, but it really had years and years and years of deferred maintenance. Her parents were heavy, heavy smokers. Like even after she got the house cleared out and after she had the walls cleaned, you could see the outlines of the artwork and stuff. And it was just rough. It had original single pane windows. It still had a very strong cigarette smoke smell. And I said, let's get a pre-inspection, see what we're getting into. What they did discover is there was areas of mold. And because I told them, I said, you could remodel this yourself if you have money in the budget to do it, or you could just price it very aggressively and let the next buyer do it. So they were gonna remodel, but then they discovered that the mold thing was just a bridge too far. They didn't want to deal with it. So they said, why don't we just price it very aggressively? So I said, okay. So we put the house on the market, probably, I'm going to guess about 25% below what similar sales could be if the home was in good shape. And immediately we started getting showing after showing after showing. So it really sparked the buyer activity. But soon after, the seller was going over to check the house every day to make sure things were secured. And sure enough, they just weren't. They would leave lights on, they would leave doors unlocked. And I was really getting daily complaints about this. And finally, it reached a tipping point when some dummy agent went to the house, took the key out of the digital lockbox, and stuck the key inside the door in the garage. There's a service door in the garage. left the keys there and locked up the house. So she basically locked all the other buyers out of the house. Fortunately, we had a garage door keypad, so we're able to get into the home. But I said, that's it. I can't trust these idiots. I'm done. So I decided to set up a series of 3 different open houses, 1-hour open houses. And this is when COVID was just roaring. And some of the agents are like, well, I didn't want to be around that many people. I said, fine, don't go. I don't care. You know, but I'm not dealing with having to chase after you guys if you can't lock doors and you can't honor somebody's property. So we ended up getting 20 offers on the home. And it ended up selling for what at the time was really full retail value on the initial contract. But Mrs. Buyer threw in the offer, got caught up in the bidding war. When Mr. Buyer came to see the house, he said, oh, no, I'm not buying this. So they bailed out. We never went back on the market again. We went back to the other 19 buyers and said, hey, guess what? This one's available. So we ended up getting pretty close to market value, cash as is, and it worked out great in just a few days. And I'm like, I'm going to do more of that because, to be honest, it's very frustrating for home sellers to have to deal with these careless agents that leave doors unlocked, that don't respect people's property. You know, it makes you feel like you've been violated if somebody comes in your house and they can't lock a door. I mean, I don't know why they can't do it, but anyway, that's common. It still goes on. But having these 3 supervised open houses was a great way to just rip the Band-Aid off and get it done. And we still got plenty of offers, and it's sold for full market value. So if you are thinking of making a move, there's all different strategies that we could deploy to get your home sold. Give us a call, 719-301-3900. We know how to help you on inherited homes, and we'd love to help you. Richard.
You're listening to Your Real Estate Voice with Barb Schlinker of Your Home Sold Guaranteed Realty. And if you're thinking of making a move, call Barb 719-301-3900 or visit barbhasthebuyers.com. This discussion dovetails in with the next topic when we come back. We'll be discussing the 7 steps of the home selling process, plus Barb's hot new listings. Don't miss them.